Hello and welcome to the Right Here, Right Queer podcast. I'm RK Ashwick and I'm here today with Luna Daye.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about Luna's story for our anthology, which is An Outstretched Hand. It is a queer anthology where each story is based on a different tarot card. Now, Luna, I don't know which order our episodes are coming out in, but for mine, I am not into tarot at all, and so my insights into my tarot card are frankly awful. But you, I think, are on the opposite end, and so I am particularly excited to hear what you have to say about your card, because I think with mine, I was like, yay, beefy woman! And I'm sure you will have more insightful things to say. So I am very excited to talk to you today about your tarot card story.
Oh man, that sets the bar high.
So you pulled the Strength card. What did you initially think when you drew that card?
So, first of all, the deck we drew from, I can't remember the name of it now, I'm really sorry. The actual deck we drew from was stunning. The artwork for all of our cards was so beautiful. And I really liked mine. Because the image was, as is traditional on the Strength card, it was a woman with a sort of flower crown on, and she was walking alongside. In this one, it's a wolf. Sometimes it's depicted as like a lion, but in this one, it was a wolf, and it was this really beautiful kind of like black, pink, and ivory sort of colorway, and it was beautiful.
Nice. How did you interpret the images and the colors?
So... Interestingly, as soon as my card got pulled, another author in the group, Noah, messaged me and was like, oh my goodness, Luna, like, you should do, like, this, and this. Like, that would really suit you. And their suggestion was amazing. It was a little bit different from what I've done before. And straight away, I was like, yes, I love that idea. Because for anyone who doesn't know, the Strength card, you can interpret it as physical strength. But that's sort of a very basic, straightforward interpretation of it. There's a lot of other ways it can be interpreted, like emotional and intellectual strength, overcoming challenges, both emotionally and physically, dealing with trauma and grief, that sort of thing. So there's quite a lot of different layers to the Strength card, and I was really excited to explore those.
That's awesome. I know you already talked a little bit about Noah having a lot of ideas and you really liking those ideas, but what about your card made you excited to write your story?
So... I'm going to try and be concise with this because, as you know from the chats, the journey for this was a bit traumatic or long-winded for me because I really liked Noah's idea, and visually and interpretively for the card, it fit really, really well. And I really went to town on the idea. I got really excited by it. I started writing it straight away. I decided to set it in a new world, so it's not in any of the ones that I've written before. And before I knew it, I had done several maps. I'd had mood boards, Pinterest boards, several books drafted for this new world that I'd created, and I just massively overcooked it. So what was supposed to be a short story, we weren't particularly picky, we sort of said between the 10 and 20,000 word mark, had become a full-length novel with several other books that were sort of linked to it. And I was like, whoops. So, whoopsie. So my plan B was then to try and do a slice of life segment from the full-sized book that I'd sort of plotted out. And I just couldn't do it. And I beat myself up about it for weeks, and I just couldn't get this sort of shortened version of the story out. I had planned to kind of do the short version for the anthology, and then maybe later on down the line I could release the extended version with more POVs and things, and I just couldn't condense it. So then I went to plan C, which was, okay, I'm going to do a different story within this world, just start a different story altogether, maybe connected to the original one. Started plotting that out. Again, I overcooked it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to just write. Come on, Luna, focus. And I was really beating myself up about it. And then Tess said, oh, why don't you just pull a different card? You're obviously struggling with this card. And I was like, okay. So I pulled a different card. And again, I came up with another story, in this new world that I'd created, massively overcooked it, had 20 plus chapters. And I was just like, I can't do this. I've never written a short story before. And so it was a real challenge for me. And I had a bit of a meltdown about it. And it wasn't until I went and had a bit of a cry and a chat with my bestie, hi Ali, if you're listening, and she was like, right, you need to just rein it all the way in, just stick with something that you already know, really sort of pull back from this whole creative chaos. And I was like, okay. So in the end, I haven't scrapped it completely. I kind of parked the idea that Noah gave me. It is going to come about later on, I think. But I decided I'm going to tell a short story from the Thraeus saga, which is my series that's out. And without getting into too many spoilers, it's essentially an event that takes place about 10 years before that series starts, and it is referenced in the Thraeus saga books. Because it is referenced in the main series, I wanted to kind of have a rough outline as to how this event went down so that I could reference back to it. And I was like, do you know what? I could tell this from a slightly different POV, and it could stand on its own without anyone having to read the Thraeus saga, but anyone who has read it will know these characters and will know the event that takes place because they've heard about it already. And that felt a lot more like I was a lot more confident when that light bulb went off. So that's where we landed.
Wow, that's a saga for sure.
It really was. It's been hard work.
I think it's very impressive that you came up with, you pulled like 2 cards and came up with like 5 different like series for them.
Look, I've got ADHD, okay? I just went off on one. Like, I hyper-focused for months on this new project, and then now it's just parked, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back to this another time.
I was gonna say, like, tangent, question. Do you think you'll ever pick up any of those new ideas again?
That's top secret. Okay, I'll share. I have big plans for it. I'm really conscious that I want to complete at least one of the series that I've already started because I don't want to let any of the readers down who've already invested in the stories that I'm telling. But I have very big plans to write within that world and do quite a lot of stories based there. So yeah, watch this space.
I think it's also very cool that this story can kind of act as like an Easter egg for people who have read the existing saga, where they're like, oh, that's what happened. But it can also stand on its own for people not familiar with the existing books.
The fun thing is like, either way, I'm hoping people are going to enjoy it because, like you said, it is a bit of an Easter egg for people who have read the book, and it is from the perspective of a character that doesn't have a POV in the main series. So it's getting into a side character's head, and without spoiling any names, this character is a bit of a fan favourite. So I think people who have read the books are going to really enjoy their perspective, and I'm hoping that people who haven't read any of the Thraeus books read about these characters and go, actually, do you know what? I really want to know more about what happens to them like later on down the line. And, it can be a sort of stepping stone, an introduction into the Thraeus world.
What is your favorite part about your anthology story?
The answer's kind of twofold, because it was really nice, because I haven't released a book in the Thraeus saga for a bit longer than I'd intended, and it was really nice to get back into that world and get back with those characters. So that was the favourite part for me as like the author. Like, I just really enjoyed being with these characters again, and it has propelled me into actually doing some writing in this series again. But I think I like that it mixes, there is sort of quite a dramatic action scene, shall we say. There's quite a lot of action in it, but there are also some slower, softer, more sort of introspective moments. And I like that contrast of trying to show the different elements of strength. So yes, there's action scenes which require physical strength, but this character is kind of required to show a little bit of emotional strength and resilience in this story as well. And I really enjoyed exploring those different facets of strength.
That is very cool. And I would agree, having read it, I would definitely agree that there's multiple facets of strength being displayed in such a short story.
I'm glad. Yay.
What do you hope readers take away from your story?
Again, it links to that multi-facet of strength. So there's a scene towards the end where the main character has a difficult conversation with a friend, which centres around sort of resilience and things. And I would hope that in different contexts that would resonate with people, because I do think it's important to have that kind of strength. And sometimes we do need a chat with a friend to kind of find our inner strength again and sort of remember who we are, remember what we're about, and find that resilience to carry on. And that was quite a profound sort of moment for me to write, especially from the character's perspective that it is, because they're not known for that. So yeah, I think that's what I would most like people to get out of it, is, as well as being entertained, of course, is the sort of wisdom that comes in that sort of toward the end of the book conversation that takes place.
I think it's funny in that it mirrors your experience, where in order to rein yourself in and write the short story, you had to have a conversation with your bestie.
Do you know what? I hadn't thought of that. Wow.
It's so meta.
That is a mirror of my own experience there, isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
So what is your experience with tarot before this? And do you have a favorite deck? I feel like an imposter even just asking this question because I don't even know I don't know what favorite deck means. Are you just picking whatever's pretty? Are you picking whatever oh man, when I pulled that stuff, that was real accurate to me.
Okay, so I'm going to answer that in two parts. So the context of it is, so for tarot specifically, there's a set of cards. So you have the major arcana, which are the ones that we drew from for the anthology story, and then there's the minor arcana, which are more like a traditional deck of cards. There's 4 suits and 13 cards in each. The first ones, I think, were the Rider-Waite cards, and since then there's been probably thousands of reimaginings. So the stay the same, so the major and minor arcana, but there'll be themed ones or just slightly different imagery, tweaks on the original designs and things like that. And when choosing a deck, it can come down to what do I feel most drawn to in terms of the aesthetic, what do I find easiest to interpret. Some people like it to be very, very visual so that they can sort of see the meaning in the cards right in front of them. Some people just prefer to learn what each card means, and what's physically on the card doesn't matter as long as it looks pretty. And then for me, because I do use cards in this way, but I prefer to use oracle cards, which are slightly different. So they don't stick to the sets that tarot have. They don't have major and minor arcana. Some of the themes overlap, but I do have a set of angel oracle cards that I use quite regularly, and I chose them because I'm a very visual person and I really like the images that are on there, and I find them very easy to interpret. And I find that when I do card readings with those, they tend to be pretty accurate, whether it's for me or for somebody else.
Nice. Well, I learned a lot. Don't listen to my episode where I'm just pretty picture, wee! Well, I think that's part of the fun of where everybody is kind of coming from with tarot, because I think there's a whole range within our whole group. There's a whole range of people who use it or don't use it or will interpret the cards, in different ways.
And that's what it is. I mean, you can be really rigid with, this card 100% means this thing. But also you could just look at the images and see something in there and interpret it in a way that's really personal. And I think that that's reflected in the stories that we've all told, because it's quite a broad spectrum of stories and quite a diverse mix going into the anthology. And I think that, reflects our interpretations of the cards.
That's a very nice way of putting it. I appreciate it. All right. And finally, where can listeners find you and your work?
So I am most active over on TikTok, but I do also have Instagram, and that's just under Luna Daye Writer. And my work is available through my website, which is lunadaye.com.
And for Right Here, Right Queer, you can find us on Instagram at Right Here, Right Queer Podcast. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.